Okay, so let's jump right in. We're going to be using a new platform right now to manage the code that Mr. Bradley so kindly created for us based off the design that Ms. Somia so wonderfully designed for us. We're going to be using what's called GitHub. It's an online platform that allows you to, as a team, collaborate with each other, make decisions on how your code should work and how it should look, as well as automate the way that it's going to get out to the public. Introducing myself again, I am, sorry, 1 second. Okay, I think we actually have some more people. Yeah, more people are actually joining. Not sure whether I should wait or not. No, let's just do it. Right. Introducing us, I am Edison Hanschel. I am a web developer as well as a software engineer. And with me, I have the wonderful Rashan Smith.
Hello.
Rashan,
Smith.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Nope, I was going to say I'm Rashan Smith. I'm a web developer as well. I'll be working with Edison today on the GitHub workshop.
Woo! Shannon and I both also teach the Beta Camp computer science stream with Bradley and Sonia. So we're all very well acquainted with each other, and we hope that based off of the workshops you've been able to be a part of today, you walk away with a newfound understanding and hopefully a passion for coding and development on the whole. Okay, so jumping right in, I think I have my screen shared already. Right, so I was saying GitHub is an online platform that's going to allow you to share code with both the world as well as internal teams. You can make decisions on how you want your code to look. You can report problems on what's going on with your code. You can even ask for help from other people, and they will assist you in order to get your code working the way that it needs to be in order to be publicized to the world. So I'm going to recommend, if you're following along, to go to github.com. I'm going to put that link in the chat. And once you're on there, you can choose the option to sign up. What signing up is going to do is going to ask you for a username that you're going to choose, completely made up, your email address, and a password that you want to create. And then if you want, you can verify your account. And once you do that, you're in. So I'm going to skip this process here because I'm pretty sure each of you are going to be able to create your own accounts on GitHub if you don't have them already. Also, GitHub is free. It's free for both public and private projects, but if you want to work as a team, there is a cost associated. But that's only if you're working as an organization. If you just want to share code with a friend and you want them to help you out with it or her to help you out with it, all you need to do is just share the project with them and you're good. So let me switch what I am sharing. And let's go here. All right, cool beans. So as you can see, we created a project called Beta Hack 2020. And I'm not sure if you can tell or not, but we took the contents of what Mr. Bradley did in his session, and all we did was create a project inside of here for it. And I'm going to walk you through the process of how to create a project in GitHub. It's really, really simple. Just go to the top right. First of all, let me ask, can everyone see my screen? Is anyone having an issue seeing what I am showing? Nobody's answering me, so I'm not sure. Okay, awesome, great. So inside of our project, inside of GitHub itself, we're going to click on the plus sign at the top right, and we're going to say new repository. Once we click on that, all we need to do is name our project. Oh, you have to sign in first? Okay. Does anyone want a few minutes to get their account sorted so they can follow along? All right, I'm going to give you, if you remember me from beta camp, you're going to remember that I'm very strict on time. I'm going to give you 2.5 minutes. Ready? Go. All right, I gave you some extra time there. So moving right along, now that we've clicked on the plus sign in order to create a project, we're going to give our project a name. And when it comes to naming projects inside of GitHub, you can't put any spaces inside of it. So anything that you type has to be either, I'm going to use all three, camel cased, has to be kebab cased, or has to be snake cased. So camel case just means that starting from the beginning, you have a lowercase word, and then every new word gets a capital letter for the first letter of that word. Kebab case means that there's a dash in between every single word. And then snake case means that there's an underscore between every single word. So I like to follow along the kebab case. So I'm going to name this beta hack. Oh, does that count as a new word? I think it counts as a new word. I'm going to say beta dash hack dash 2020. And as you can see, I am already the owner for this repository, and it automatically checks all of GitHub to make sure that the project with this owner and this repository name doesn't exist. Right? Now I can give an optional description, but that's not really too important for me. I'm going to make my project either private or public. I'm going to make it private for now because I'm not ready for the world to see it. And then I have the option of adding 3 types of files. A README file is just going to be a quick text document that describes my project and makes it easy to browse, or it makes it easy to get a quick preview when you're viewing it from GitHub. So I'm going to add a README document. A .gitignore file tells my project and tells Git and GitHub which files to ignore when I'm working with it. So I'm going to add that as well. No template. And then my project is private, so I don't need to use a license. But if I was making an open source project, or that I was going to publicize to the world for everyone to see, I would have to choose a license to make sure that my intellectual property wouldn't be abused. There are licenses that allow for people to use your software for free. There are licenses that restrict what people can do with your software. And then there are also licenses that, in the event that someone wants to use your software and make a change to it, you can make it so that any change that they make, that they are then publishing, has to also be made freely available to the rest of the open source community. I'm not going to add a license right now, like again, just because my project is private. So I'm going to try to create a repository. Oh, it's not allowing me to move forward. What did I miss? Maybe I do need a license. No. There we go. I selected to add a git ignore file, but they don't allow for a template of none. So if you're going to use it to add git ignore file, then you're going to have to add the type of git ignore that you want to use. For right now, I'm going to choose to not add a git ignore file just because I'm going to delete this anyway. So I don't need all the bells and whistles. So now that I'm done, I'm going to click create repository. And the little elves in the back of GitHub are going to be running around, and boom, my project is created. I can see that the README file has been added to it, and I automatically get this little preview here that I actually didn't create. If I go into my README file, I can see that the contents actually match what show up inside of that preview. That's why the README file is so important. Anyone that's going onto our project wouldn't have to delve down into our code in order to get a quick glimpse of what it's for. So I'm going to go inside of my README file. I'm just going to write this is an example of what a readme.md file will show. Now I have made a change, but there's no save button, or at least no save button that you can recognize based off of what you're used to. So I'm going to scroll down and I can see commit changes. Now, a commit has to do with the program that I mentioned earlier, Git. GitHub is the online platform that you collaborate with other people with. But Git is the software that you'll have to add to your machine, or you'll have to run locally so that you are going to be able to track every change that occurs in your source code. So I'm going to say a commit, which really just represents a point in my code's history. I want to commit one. I can add a title to that commit, which is update README. It automatically adds that when you're in GitHub, because GitHub is smart. It has a very, very long history of being able to accommodate people that are writing their own software. So it knows I updated this individual file, and it's asking me to add an additional description for what I've done. So I'm going to say, I wrote some stuff. Oh, what's that? Hold on. Yeah, raised hands emoji. And you can see it's giving me options down here to commit directly to the main branch, which is it really just means the main development stream of my project. So one of the additional advantages of the software that I mentioned, Git, is that if you want to work on something, but you don't want it to affect your main stuff, you can create what's called a branch, which takes everything that you've done so far and then creates a copy of it in sort of like a parallel dimension. And then all of the code you write goes into that parallel dimension until you're ready to bring it back into the mainstream. That's actually how a lot of software companies like Microsoft and I'm gonna say Red Hat, but I'm not sure, how they are able to develop new products quickly and without compromising the software that they've already released to you. They branch out, add a new feature, test that feature, and then merge that branch back into the mainstream. Okay, so I'm going to say commit changes. And now you can see that the preview of my project, once I click back on the title, is showing the new contents of the readme.md file. And that's beautiful, that's wonderful. But what if I didn't want that to happen? Or what if I made a mistake? Then I have the option of clicking on commits. Now, this immediately shows me a full history of everything that's happened on my project. Every commit gets a special hash, which is just a code to represent what it is. And then inside of each of these commits, I can click on this button here. And I can browse what the software project looked like before I made any change. I go back to commits and I see that that was the original one. I go here and I can now see the changes, or I can see the changed version, the most updated one. If I want to just see the actual changes, I can click on that hash and it shows me exactly what's different in my project from the commit that came before the one that I'm on. So you can see this line right here, beta hack 2020, was technically removed because it was at the start. And then this is the content that replaced it. You can see that a space was added as well as the text that I wanted. And this right here is a full history of my project. I know exactly everything that changed. And even more important, I know who did it. Because if you look, it shows me having committed that 2 minutes ago. And I'm a verified user because it knows that this is my project. All right, do we have any questions before I move forward from this? No. All right, awesome. So I've shown you how I, as an individual, have created a project. Now, what if I'm not an individual? What if I'm working on a team? Well, GitHub has the option for you to create not only a personal account, but a team account that you'll be able to share. It's called an organization. I am glad to hear that, Chloe. If you go into, once you're on GitHub, if you are actually a part of an organization, you can go inside of here and you can jump into the organization that you are a part of. Now you can see this is us. Everyone that you've seen today is right inside of this core organization. There's Ms. Rashan, who refuses to choose a profile image. There's Ms. Somya, there's Mr. Bradley, and there's myself. And here's Darren, who you will meet tomorrow in the other webinars. And these are just some of the core projects that we've been working on together. You will see beta.org, which is our website. So any changes that we make to our website go here before they get pushed to the server that's actually hosting it. We have some stuff from the 2020 computer science course from Beta Camp. We have another project that I'm not going to explain because it's none of your business. And then we have Beta Hack 2020. And you can see that there's a description of Pokemons. If we look inside of here, the structure should look almost exactly the same as what Mr. Bradley was working on. The only two files that might look different are the gitignore and the readme.md file that would have been added once this project was initialized in GitHub. And as for how you can add more files to a project, you literally just go on add a file and you can upload them based off of files you have on your local machine, or you can just create a new file inside of here, copy and paste what you want, name the file, new file.html. I'm just going to say H1 new file. Gives me a nice little preview of what the file is going to look like. And then I'm going to commit that file into the project. Added a new file that I hope doesn't break everything. Commit new file. And those commit messages that you see me type, they're extremely important when you're working on a team, because everything that you do needs to have some type of description or detail so that the person that's coming after you, or the person that's coming after you knows exactly what you did in the event that you broke something or that they need to change something based off of a new request. So GitHub is an excellent collaboration tool. And right under the hood, you have Git, which is what's actually managing your software, okay? So now that I've added my new file, you can see I misspelled the name. No one could have told me I misspelled the name? Oh, goodness. All right, we'll come back to that later, although it is a quick change. Actually, yeah. No, it's a quick change. So we'll do that later. Right now, this is the project that you all have been used to seeing because that's what Mr. Bradley created. And we did a thing. So this project in GitHub is already set up so that any change that we do automatically gets pushed to the new website that we created for it, which is Beta Hack 2020 weabeta.co. So anyone right now can go to this link and they'll be able to see the minor project that Mr. Bradley did. You can all click on that link and test it out yourself. All right, is everyone able to get to that link? Awesome. Okay. So now that I have gone over exactly how you can get into GitHub, how you can create a project, and how you can view projects that you have already created, I'm going to hand it over to Mr. Shan to explain issues for us. Is Mr. Shan cool with that?
Sure. Let's see, let me just pull up this project. So I assume we're going to be working with this project that you just created, right?
Yeah, I'm going to stop sharing my
Right.
screen and hand it over to you right now.
Can you allow me to share screen, please? That would be nice.
You are now the official host.
Okay, cool. Screen two. Okay, can you see my screen? Okay, so issues are essentially a way for you to, and I guess it'll come into play when you're working with bigger projects, but they're a way for you to point out things that might either one, be wrong with the current website, or two, maybe an improvement you would like to see. So a good example that we can use, let me try to refresh it, get the changes, is that Mr. Edison accidentally named this file wrong. So something that we can do is go, so you see there's these different tabs here, there's code, you want to go to the issues tab that has the exclamation point. And here, and again, I'm in the Beta Hack 2020 project, which is in beta group, which is the organization. So in that project, I would go to the issues tab. Someone already has an issue. So I will create, well, actually, let's see this issue.
I don't like the way you said that. It's just, but why you say I have an issue?
I have an issue. Just pointing it out, well, I think you should provide more detail if you would like for this issue. You did mention documentation and making sure your stuff clear, but yeah, so let's go ahead and create a new one. And actually, let's see what the problem was. So we spelled new file wrong. So if you go to issues, create a new one. So let's see what the title should be. File name is spelled incorrectly. I could have said that shorter, but that's fine. And I guess the description I could put is that newfi.html should be named new file.html. Now let's submit that. And the thing is, you could go in, ideally, I could have gone in and actually corrected it myself, but when you're working in an organization, there will be different permissions. So some people may be allowed to maybe edit the master branch, some people might not. So it's a good way for people that maybe don't want to edit it right away, don't have the permissions, to just point out things that might be wrong. That way the person who has the permissions to actually make that change can go in and create that change. Another way we could have done this was actually, I know Mr. Harrison talked about branches, so I could have actually gone in and created a branch of this and edited the file and actually created a pull request. I don't know, should I go into that or?
100%. 100%, yes.
Okay, cool. So this is a good segue into using Git, I guess, on your local machine. Yes. So I assume all of you should have VS Code by now. If not, this would be a good time to download it as well. And if you also have Git, it would be also a good time for you to download that as well. Please put in the chat if you feel like you need time for that. I can't see the chat, so maybe SME can let me know if anyone needs time for that.
Oh, because we're starting so late, I don't know if we're going to get into using Git locally. I think we'll just have them do everything from GitHub because this project is public. So they'll be able to make pull requests directly from it and just work inside of GitHub to make the changes.
Okay.
But anyone that does have VS Code, Visual Studio Code, already installed on their machine, you are very much welcome to use that instead. If you don't know what that is, an email will be sent after this webinar with more information on how you can use those tools, okay?
Nice. So I guess the first step would be, since we're going to do it in GitHub, right? Yeah. So I have not created a branch in GitHub. So do you need to create a branch, or can I just do it myself?
Oh, you're probably gonna have to fork the project.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so what I'm doing is creating my own copy of this project. So Beta Hack belongs to Beta Group. And since there's only one branch, which is the main branch, I don't want to mess up. First of all, I might not even have permissions to edit this file because this is not my project. But also, I don't want to make an error that might actually break the whole project. So what I would do instead, if I want to create a change and submit it to Beta Hack to add to their website, is that I would fork it, which is creating my own copy of it in my own GitHub repo. So you just click fork once you're in the repository, and now you see it's working to create my version of Beta Hack 2020. And now I have my own. And you can see before it said Beta Group Beta Hack 2020, but you can see now that my username is in the front. So it's my local version of the exact same project. So I have the exact same code, everything, same error. So now, and it's also saying, I'm like, I have the same changes as the Beta Hack 2020, so that it hasn't like picked up much changes yet. So what I want to do is rename this file. So if I go edit, just go in here, I renamed it, and then I also want to add another message in here too. Don't mess up the HTML. So I made two changes. I renamed the file and I also added another line of code. And so that's my change. Now let's leave a message. So I can say exactly what I did so that when Edison sees it, he can see what my changes were and then also check to make sure that it's what I said it was. So I can say that I updated, or I can say I corrected the name of the file and said I was here. Oh, and they also gave me a tip. You don't want to make your commit messages too long, because once you realize your project is getting bigger, you kind of want to keep it short, sweet, and to the point. So it's just here reminding me that, I don't want to make it too long, but I think that should be fine for now. And it's going to commit to my main branch. So although it's the same project, this is going to be my main branch. It still won't pop up on Beta Hack 2020. I will have to submit a pull request for them to accept that change, which I will do right after I commit. So I have a message, correct the name of the file, and said I was here, commit changes. Boom. So now you can see my commit. That's my history of the file, what I did. And now, I believe I actually want to go to, okay, so now see GitHub is actually helping me and it's saying that this branch, which is my copy of the website, is one commit ahead of Beta Group Master. So it's saying that you made one change that Beta Group, the repo that you forked from doesn't have. So they're not the same, they're not at the same level anymore. And the way to resolve this would be to submit a pull request. And what a pull request is, as you can see, if we start reading from this side, it's saying that I want the changes in my repo. I want the arrows pointing towards the left. So it's saying I want my changes to be applied to the original repo, which is beta group at 2020. And you can see the changes that I made. So you see there's the green again, as Edison said, meant the addition. You can also see the red. So the red here is saying that Nephi got essentially deleted, which just meant that I renamed it. And you can see here that not only was the file renamed, but I added another line of code. So these are my changes that I'm going to ask Edison to accept into his version of the exact same repo. And they help me again, say it's available to merge, so no merge conflicts. Green is good, just remember green is good. And I just click pull request. And so I can change the message or I can keep the one. Luckily, I made the message pretty clear. I said I correctly named the file and said I was here, so I don't need to change it. The message can stay the same. Again, it's the changes from my repository are going to Beta Hack. I'm asking him to accept them. And now I would like.
Wait. The number. Remember the issue?
Oh, yeah. That is true. Okay. Now I need to go back to my version of
Sorry to interrupt.
Thanks. Not a problem. So what you're saying is that I created an issue that said that there was something spelled incorrectly. And now I need to essentially link it to my pull request so that not only can Edison see that I found the problem, but I also submitted a solution to solve it. So I go back to my pull request. Is there a direct way to link it through this GUI?
Yeah, while you're typing, if you press the number sign, it'll list all of the open issues and you can just type the number that it solves.
So we can see that this one is mine.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think I should be good to set a pull request. Create my pull request. Cool. So you can see it went really quickly, but again, as the project gets bigger and people are merging more lines of code, GitHub actually has a cool feature where it will kind of do a mini build and make sure that things aren't conflicting or anything. So that, of course, it went really fast because we only have like a few lines of code here, but it will come in pretty handy. So I've submitted my pull request. It's open, which means that no one has approved or denied it yet. It's just waiting to be reviewed by Edison or anyone that is an administrator in the beta group project. Cool. If I go back to my issues, you can see not only did I create the issue, but I have a solution here pending for Edison to approve or deny.
All right, I'm just gonna take back control. Let's share the screen. All right, and on my side, I got both an email as well as an alert inside of my GitHub saying that there is now a new issue and a pull request from the user, Rashan Smith, who so wonderfully found the problem for us and is suggesting a solution. But if Rashan is a stranger, I mean, I'm not going to immediately trust what she said to me. Because she's a part of a team, I would normally just click check mark, merge, no problem. But as I said, I don't know who she is just now in this example. So I'm going to click on her merge request, her pull request, sorry. I'm going to see that she's saying it solves number 2, which is a file name that's spelled incorrectly. Because I can see all the changes, I myself can validate for a fact that the changes that she's sending me meet this requirement and only this requirement. You don't want to accept just changes from anyone without validating them, because you don't know if they're putting something malicious into your code, which you're then pushing out to the world. If the world sees a problem in your code, sometimes they're not going to worry about where it might have come from or how you got compromised. They're always going to be pointing a finger at you, okay? So I'm going to look at the commit that she submitted with her pull request. I see that it's just one commit, so I could just click on files change to see what exactly occurred. Based off of what she said, which is that she corrected the name of the file and said I was here, I can see that the file was deleted, a new file with the correct name was created, and I can see the text that was not originally in the first file, which Rashan was here, has been added. So I'm going to say that this pull request is A-OK. So let's go back to our pull request menu. I'm going to select the checkbox here, and I am going to, where are my options?
And you have to click into it.
Oh, here we go. Wait. You're right. There we go. Yeah, you are absolutely correct. Once I'm inside of her pull request now, I'm just going to click merge pull request because I find no problem with it and fixes an issue that I wanted solved. It's going to ask me to confirm the merge. I'm just going to add an additional commit message, which isn't necessary. I'm just a stickler for it. And confirm. And now that confirm has occurred, it's going to start merging her file into the main project and not just the copy that she has. That merge should now be completed. So if I go to our main project, I see Newfie no longer exists. So if I go to our website, where I originally was able to navigate to newfie.html, which is the name of our file, and see new file, I refresh, and now I get a 404 error, which just means that whatever I'm looking for doesn't actually exist. So if I go inside of my URL bar and change it to new file.html, I get the contents I was expecting, as well as this nice little message from Rashan. So we have 100% confirmed that Rashan's code that she submitted works the way it's supposed to. It didn't have anything that it shouldn't have had inside of it, and we automatically pushed it to our server for the entire world to be able to see without us having to log into any additional server, any additional console, any other software. GitHub allowed us to configure things, so it took control of all of that and automated it for us. So now, say we have 50 people working on 50 different things, and we need all this stuff to go up either in batch or quickly. Everyone just submits to GitHub. We have one person or multiple people moderating all that code. Approve, 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 deny, approve, deny, approve, deny. And once that's done, it automatically goes to our server. And we can deploy our website 5 times, if only 5 times faster than you normally would have to. All of it done with a click. Any questions so far based off what we've done? Nope. All right, cool. So in that case, we're going to jump into another issue. Oh, I forgot to close this one. So after someone has submitted a pull request for your issue, if you have confirmed that it is done, you can click on it and you can mark that that issue as closed. And now we know that that issue is done. And we can always view the history of our issue by clicking on the close menu. And we can see when it was closed and who it was closed by. Okay, so let's go back to our open issues. And I see that the page menu is too big. And Rashan is absolutely correct. There is no way enough description to tell us what we have done or what we have to do. So I'm going to edit this. And there we go. So I'm going to edit my main comment for this issue. The page menus are too large, no matter what device they are viewed on. The content is also pushed too far in because of the margins and padding. I'm going to update my comment. And now my initial comment is attached to the issue. And Rashan can go inside of here, or any other member of the team can see this issue. They can get more information on it, and they can start submitting pull requests in order to fix it. So I'm going to follow all the steps that Rashan did. But yes, I'm going to follow the steps that Rashan did. So I'm going to fork the repository onto my own personal account. All right, so now I have my copy, and I'm going to go into the styles document. And I am going to go into, oh, wait, no, I'm going to go into branches first. Whew, that was close. View all branches. And I have not pushed my branch up just yet. So that's fine. I'm going to edit the current document as is, which is not best practice, but Rashan will forgive me. So I'm going to open the styles folder. I'm going to open index.css, which is the file that was generated based off of, from CodePen, based off of what Mr. Bradley typed inside of it. And I'm going to choose to edit this file. Now, I am not going to go into all of the changes that are going to be applied to this file. Instead, I am simply going to paste them in. And you will have the ability to review these changes in your own time. Updated index.css. I'm going to add a commit message, which is that I corrected the padding and margins on all text and added an additional container around, ooh, that's not how you spell that, the main content. So I'm going to say that this change is exactly what I need it to be. But I have additional changes as well. So before I actually make my pull request, I'm going to make all the changes to the project that I need. And then I'm going to send just one main pull request to the project owner. And that way I'm not cluttering up their history and their view. They're just going to see my one pull request instead of like 5. So I know that I changed that file. And you can't see what's on the rest of my screen, but I am just copying in directly from the changes I made inside of CodePen into the editor here. And that's one of my favorite parts about GitHub as well. It allows you to view all of your code or make all the changes to your code inside of its own editors. Added extra div. The only downside is that I'm going to have to create a commit message for every single one of my changes or every file that I change, but that's fine for this case. In larger projects, you're going to want to use Git locally because you can tie a bunch of documents to a single change. So I also changed contact.html. Let's modify that. And I'm going to be lazy. Made this change to, don't be lazy. Don't copy after me, okay? And now inside of the last file, which I want to change, pokemon.html, I'm going to swap out the content in here as well. And another one. All right, and now inside of my personal project that I forked from the original one, I can click on the commit and I can see the additional history that I have created as well as the main history. We can see what Rashan did. We can see when Rashan's change was added to the main project. And then we can see the 4 changes that I have made. And just as a quick sampler, let's look at our project right now. This is what it looks like. We're all familiar with it. So I'm going to open a new tab and leave that one as is so that we'll be able to go back and forth and see the changes. once I approve this pull request. So I go back here, I select create a new pull request. All of this looks good. It's capturing all of the changes that I've made to the different files, which are a lot. And again, we're not going to go over it in this particular session. You are more than welcome to do so on your own time because you have access to the repository to view it now. I'm going to say CSS style changes and HTML containers added. Short commit message, super sweet, but I'm going to add a bit more detail inside of the comments. A new div was placed around the content in all of the HTML documents. The button sizes were adjusted. The page menu was made mobile friendly. And what's the last thing I did? Oh, yes. Margins and padding were fixed to show more content. Oh, there was one more. The SVG background was placed on the body instead of on another div. Now we're done. I'm going to say reviewers. Ooh, I have no reviewers from, there we go. I have no reviewers inside of here because this is a personal project, which is fine. I can add a review later on. Allow edits by maintainer, good. I'm also going to say that this pull request closes number 2, or sorry, number 1. Because number 1 was the number of the issue that I'm originally responding to. So I'm going to say create pull request. All right. Now you see this option here because I'm already a part of this project, but that doesn't mean that I want to automatically run it. In fact, what I'm going to need is I'm going to need someone to, Sean, why are you not showing up in this view?
Am I in this organization?
You are. I saw your face.
Do I have, what are my permissions?
You know what? That is a very good question.
Yeah, I might just be
like an astoundingly good question. Let's take a look. Either way, I'll come back to this. But as you can see, my new pull request has been created. I tell the owner of the project what this closes and everything that it's supposed to do. They'll be able to check based off of the commits, as well as the files changed. All right, and Shan, if I go into the issue, you're able to see everything that's connected to it. So let me see. Is that your name on Github, Rashan Smith?
Yeah, I'm actually in the pull request, but I don't have the option to merge. So I assume it's yeah, it says only those with write access can merge. So I don't have write access, I assume.
Blasphemy. 1 second. Sorry, everyone. All right, manage access. Okay. Yeah, that was my bad. Okay, now let's try that. There we go. Instead of assigning myself to, I'm going to go back to the pull request because if I created it, it's terrible practice for me to be the one that approves it. So I'm going to go into the pull request and I'm going to go to reviewers and I'm going to add Rashan as a reviewer for this pull request. And so now Rashan can go inside of here and she can add a review or add an approval to it. And if Rashan approves it, then it's going to be allowed to move forward. So I'm going to hand control over to Rashan so that we can stalk her screen now.
Any permissions?
Go for it.
Okay, so this is the pull request that's open. I see my name next to it. And before I didn't have this button showing up, but after Edison added me as a reviewer, now I have the ability to merge the request. Again, I can say, Edison's a good web developer. I trust him. I'll just accept it. But it's usually good practice to just look through it just in case, For the sake of time, I won't go through everything, but I would recommend, when you're working with your team, just make sure to look over anything that they they submit a pull request for, because they may have missed something that you might see. So that's just a best practice thing. You also see that it's given me the option to add my review, which, I can actually go in and add comments. So I could say, this line doesn't look right. You should probably indent that a bit more. I don't need to do that right now, but that's also an option that's pretty cool to have in case there's something specific that someone needs to change. So I can see he edited these files, asking me to review it. So far it looks good. He's very detailed in his comments. So I have an idea of what he did. Cool. And then I can also leave a comment. I can say, looks good. Thanks for the fix. And I can close it with the comment, but I can actually, let's just comment that first. And then let's merge and then confirm it just to make sure I don't want to change my mind or I accidentally clicked it too fast or something. Confirm merge. And it is purple, which means that it is merged.
And I got a super nice email telling me that Rashan has approved my pull request.
And I believe it did change, right? Because it was over here. There's some differences, so looks good. You also want to make sure that the website still works whenever you accept a pull request, because that does happen a lot. You accept a pull request and the website stops working. So make sure to check that right away. Yep. So everything has been merged and we are good to go. Oh, I guess I can also, it's been closed. So nice.
Yeah.
My job is done.
The keyword that I added, which was closes, and then the number, tells GitHub to automatically close this issue once it's been merged.
Nice.
And that's just a shortcut to speed things up for all of you who are interested in learning the deeper mechanisms of the platform. So I'm going to grab the host back once more and reshare this screen. Rashan showed each of you the changes that my code was able to create. But I kept this window open so that you can actually see them live. So once I click refresh, nothing happens. But if I keep clicking refresh, there we go, something happened. So the files were cached on my computer, and that's why it did not automatically open. But if you go to home right now, you can see that based off of what's here and based off of what's here, there have been massive adjustments to the way that the website actually works, or the way that it looks. You can see that the button is smaller. You can see the menu text is further to the right and smaller as well. And you can see that things just moved a little bit higher. And you see how I'm scrolling here? I have to scroll to get to the bottom of the screen. On this one, there's no need to scroll because it's perfectly adjusted to the size of the window. If we don't need that extra space, we don't need to add it. And so we've made our modifications to this page extremely quickly. We've deployed it instantly. We've collaborated to make sure that both of us have agreed to what we've decided to put up here, and we're able to make this public to the world. Join now, and I get new Pokemon every time I click this button. Thank you to Mr. Bradley for adding this cool feature to our page. And that right there is the basic layout of collaboration with code on GitHub. Does anyone here have any questions about what we just ran over? And like I said before, I will be making this repository public and available to each of you. So if you want, if you feel brave enough, I implore you to go onto GitHub on the project. I want you to fork it. And then in that same file, new file.html, I want you to edit it by putting your name was here inside of it as well. Actually, nah, that's not really me. I'm gonna say, I think this is going to be more me. That's not working. Oh, GitHub's not letting me use my shortcut keyboard. That's not cool. So I'm gonna type it instead. There we go. Let me copy my favorite emoji right into here. Edison was here. Gonna save that. I'm going to be lazy and not gonna add a comment, but I'm gonna need you to add a comment. And now when we go to our site and we go to new file.html, you can see Edison was here, Oxoy. So that backfired immensely. Apparently our page is not able to handle emojis. So one more edit. Commit changes. Boom, there we go. So you're going to have to fork the repository first. Then you're going to have to, inside of your version of it, change this file by adding a line with your name, right? And then you're going to have to create a pull request after that, and then send it directly to the project. There's not going to be an issue that your particular pull request is going to relate to. But once you create it, we're going to know, and we're going to vet it. And if it works, we're going to approve it. And you're all going to be able to see exactly, you're all going to be able to see the list of people that were able to accomplish the task. Okay? So that is your challenge for tonight, if you dare to accept it. Once more, any questions from the back of the audience before we say goodnight? No, sir? Cool, cool, cool beans. And I want to reiterate, GitHub is a free platform. It's excellent to use. It is easy to use, and it's easy to work with other people using it. If you're working in a hackathon and you do have, say, code for a website that you want to make sure to keep track of, it's a perfect thing to use. If you're working in a hackathon, you have app code or source code from any other language that you want to keep track of, it's a good thing to use. If you have a list of different restaurants that you want to always make sure to keep track of and then send to friends and make public, you can use GitHub for that. People use GitHub for so many different things, and it has an excellent community of people inside of it as well. One of my favorite parts about GitHub is that if you click the Explore button, you can view a host of projects that other people have made public, and you can maybe learn a few things or some tips and tricks on the coding projects that you feel most comfortable being a part of. It's one of my favorite tools. It's a part of my daily workflow, and can't imagine what life would be without it. Thank you all for attending. It was lovely having you. You're a great audience. And in preparation for next week, I'm going to use my favorite tagline, happy coding. So, bye.
Bye.
Let's stop sharing on Facebook now, because we're done.